last one from John Bunyan. Do not allow any ungodly, profane, or heretical books or discourse in your house. Now, he's got a little bit more, and I want to read this to you. Quote, evil communications, he's quoting 1 Corinthians 15:33, evil communications disrupt good manners. I mean, such profane or heretical books, etc. He lived in an age before movies or streaming or anything like that, but it would be included. I mean, such profane or heretical books as either tend to provoke to looseness of life or such as do oppose the fundamentals of the gospel. If you are setting one example and then letting the world come in and set the opposite example, at best, we're going to generate children who don't know where to plant themselves. They'll just vacillate between two polar opposites. And at worst, they'll just gravitate towards the one which, yes, calls to their innate nature. If you let the darkness in, my hearers, the darkness, like a prowling lion, will devour your children, because he is evil and a murderer, and it is always the smallest, weakest members of the herd that are the easiest targets. Look around you and tell me that Satan is not targeting and devouring our children, and he is doing so almost entirely unopposed. Which brings me to my final point this morning. I mentioned last week, it seems like yesterday, I mentioned last week, our marriage is one of the primary fronts in our battle against the dark powers. It is a front of spiritual warfare. The world has a vision of marriage and a design for marriage, and it wants you to follow suit. And it's going to pressure you to follow suit. It's going to pressure you to make divorce easy. And now I'm hearing about legalized polyamorous couples where we've got three people who are somehow legally tied together. That's not a marriage. It's going to pressure you to redefine, and it's going to be a battle to stand fast next to your spouse and say, this is a Christian, God-ordained marriage. We refute whatever you're selling. Same thing with your family. With all of our families. This is another front, it's a very related front in spiritual warfare, because Satan hates all of God's good designs. He will seek to destroy our families, and he will do so by aiming all his fiery darts at our children. And you can see the evidence. He is doing very well in this area. For lack of being pushed back. So one of the ways that you can aid him, if you really want to help Satan devour your children, let all of his seductive material into your house. And look, the internet, now that we're in the age of, John Bunyan could never have envisioned such a thing. You might as well, if you are not monitoring your kids on the internet, you might as well open the doors and leave them unlocked, or just cast them out into the street. It just flows in now. You've got to monitor their consumption of media, particularly if they're little. You've got to direct them to the good, steer them away from the bad. Look, that's what the discipline part is. It's not just here are consequences to your actions when you're disobedient, but it's also here are the fence guideposts that keep you safe, that keep you away from the darkness and headed towards the light.